Hey, John.
Hey, Nick, how are you?
Oh,
I've got all these lights on. I thought I would, no.
so
Anyway, how are you?
I'm
Happy
I'm very
Halloween.
I'm very well. So yeah, we had Halloween just yesterday. UK really doesn't do Halloween like the US does. We had, I think, five ghosts and goblins. That was our complete a complete visitation for the Halloween evening. And Addie shouted at all of them, which
Good,
is her
good.
Halloween tradition.
In
This
the Western Church, the day is All Saints Day, which
All
is
Saints
actually
Day.
it's a very big feast in the church.
Yeah.
Actually, Halloween was just Hallows Eve, meaning All Saints, All Hallowed Eve, All Saints Day. So the Orthodox Church does that at a different time around Pentecost. But still, All Saints Day, Saint John of Kronstadt Day. It's a big day for us. All right, so today's conversation, we've been talking, we've been doing questions and answers, and we could do. I don't know about you, Nick, but every day I get up, I go to my computer, and I think, wow, who's talking today on the threads?
Yeah.
There have been some marvelous things, and one that we'll have to do next week, or maybe we do an interweek one. A man came in with I shouldn't say it's a man. It's a two initial last name participant. I don't know it's a he or a she, but anyway, I'm gonna say he, generic he here. Um, Went back and read Running Grave in light of our conversations about the narrative misdirection implicit in this book, and that he realized that Running Grave and Hallmark Man occur simultaneously. That means the crime happens simultaneously. So he went back and read Running Grave, and am I wrong, Nick, that
No,
this is a astonishing read
it is
about
a
what
wonderful
Murphy
piece of
was
work.
doing? And unfortunately, our friend put that on a thread that was the Charlotte was murdered thread,
Yeah.
which nobody is checking now. It's just like So we're gonna elevate that to a
Yeah.
show of its own, and all the other things that are going on. Ed Sharbo and Kelly, Kelly and Kathleen O'Connor had one this morning. I'm seriously, and Sandra Hope, Sandy Hope, all these people are writing. We can just make this show into conversations with Hogwarts professor friends. But today we're going to do something a little bit different, just to mix it up a little. And the inspiration for this show, Nick, was the very first reading, writing, rolling podcast that we did at Katie McDaniel and I did at um, MuggleNet
Okay.
after the demise of MuggleNet Academia for woke reasons, where MuggleNet canceled that for woke reasons. Anyway, so Katie McDaniel and I started that show, and we started out at Roanoke. There was a big festival in Roanoke, and it was the all-star lineup. You had Lana Whitehead and um, Emily Strand and Katie McDaniel, myself, Elizabeth Baird Hardy was there, and Louise Freeman was there. And we did this roundtable discussion where we talked about moments in Harry Potter on specific topics.
Right.
And it was a lot of fun. It was really a lot of fun. And I'll put a link down below if you want to see that, listen to that. I think it was recorded, not filmed. That, I thought we should do that, Nick. We should do, I borrowed a lot of the questions from that show. Just subjects and do it with the first 7 Strike novels and then with the Hallmarked Man experience. Okay. And I sent you a list of these things, and you obliged these things. So let's just jump into this. The first question is the top Strike Ellicott moment, in the series and in Hallmark Man. And I borrowed that from that Roanoke confab, and that was the top trio moment in Harry Potter, which was a fun question. But if you do top Strike Ellicott moment, the whole book is Strike Ellicott moments. you'd have to do top Strike, Ellicott, Barkley moment if you want to do something like the equivalent of the trio. So I realize you have to break that down. So there's 4 types of Strike, Ellicott moments. There's Ellicott taking care of the wrecked Strike. There's Strike taking care of the wrecked Ellicott. There's the 2 having a frank conversation about the agency and their vocation. And then there's 2 having a frank conversation about life in general, the meaning of things. Anyway, you start off. Give me your 2 favorite things for Ellicott taking care of the wrecked Strike.
Okay, so favorite Ellicott taking care of Strike in trouble was Lethal White. So this is Jack's in hospital, burst appendix. Parents are away on holiday. Strike is looking after Jack. He breaks on the phone to Robin. Robin abandons everything, particularly Matthew. Takes several forms of public transport to get there. It's not an easy route. Appears with coffee. It's a direct reflection of Charlotte appearing to Strike in hospital with his amputation, and it's just a beautiful platonic scene. It's Robin being there when she's needed. So that's
that. Okay, I'm gonna hold off on Hallmark Man.
Okay,
because your favorite one, and that's beautiful. But I want to go back to the first one, where Strike actually explains that Kairos moment with Charlotte to Robin, and that's when of course, he's found out that Robin has had to tell him because Charlotte called to drop the bomb that she was marrying Jago, and Strike is destroyed. He's already reeling from the breakup, and now he finds out that within only a number of weeks, his former fiance is now someone else's fiance, and the man he despises the most, and they both despised. And he goes out to his favorite pub and begins to drown his sorrows. And it looks bad for Strike, right? I mean, he's just.
I was a boxer.
Oh my goodness. Does he ever get that wrecked after? I mean, that may have been the nadir. It was really close to the beginning of the book.
Yeah.
I mean, and Robin doesn't just go right to the favorite pub. She doesn't even know that's his favorite pub. She starts, she has to search for him, right? I think she says that this was going to be her last stop, because she had to get home. And instead she finds him and really takes care of him, listens to all the things he shares. He shares this Kairos moment thing over kebabs later, and then he disappears into an alley to barf. I mean, it's like, and of course the next day she doesn't confront him with the whole thing. She goes out on her first mission, really, as a partner. And that to me was the foundation that this was going to be more than, just the temporary secretary, and that they had a relationship right from that moment. That was, as you said, there was going to be more Kairos moments, that scene with Jack at the turning point. But the first Kairos moment was when he talked about the Kairos moment. All right, that's a great start. How about the best Ellicott taking care of Rex Strike in Hallmarked Man?
Okay, so this was thinner on the ground because honestly, Robin was the one that needed more taking care of in this book. But when they went to Sark, Strike gets his just deserved shovel in the head. His leg is hurting and not acting gazelle-like as Murphy would do, bounding over fences. feeling
I'm gonna
sorry for
stop you.
the.
How does it just deserts that he gets a spade in the face?
Oh, because I was angry with him through the book all the way up till then. So I'm satisfied that he deserved a shovel in the face for being manipulative strike rather than straight down the line justice serving strike. You,
Okay.
you're right. The situation maybe
Whew.
didn't deserve it, but as a reader, I was rooting for the shovel. Um,
Whew. Okay. Man.
frozen peas. Do you know peas are unexpectedly important in this book, but we get frozen peas to lessen the swelling on the face, and we see spaghetti carbonara. But this is, it's not. Is it looking after wrecked strike? This is just what Robin. This is what she does. This is her caring, nurturing nature. I think she doesn't need to think about it. This is just what she does.
It's fascinating that you mentioned that scene. I wouldn't have chosen that scene because it can also be Strike taking care of the wrecked Ellicott, because she
Yeah.
then bears her soul to him in the wake of Murphy's text
Yeah.
message. A brilliant text message from Murphy. Well played there, Ryan F. Um, but um, you're right. This is pretty weak on the ground for Ellicott taking care of the Rex strike. My favorite Ellicott taking care of the Rex strike is during the Valentine's Day raid on the dogfights when she pepper sprays him while trying to save him.
Pepper, yeah.
Um,
Pepper strays the dog, Strike herself, everyone.
and, and, but Strike, of course, is totally unaware this pepper spray even exists. It's just he thinks he's been napalmed. He just can't believe this, and she does everything she can to help him.
Yeah.
That's Robin again doing what she does, but she also at that point agrees to go to Sark, and that's the real balm that she gives him that night. She's basically forgiven him, and she's found out about the whole bijou business, um, and they have that adventure together, very much like the troll in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. These are the kind of things you can't do together without being
Yeah.
friends. And reminded of that, she takes care of him with his pepper. She's hit him in the face with this poison, and then taking care of him. And that's it's almost a snapshot of the whole book, in terms of just how angry she is with him. She didn't seem that upset about the spade in the face either. So maybe she's on team, team Jeffrey.
Yeah.
All right, on to the next one. Strike taking care of the wrecked Ellicott. What have you got
Okay.
for the series? The series
For the
first.
series, clearly running grave. So that there was that incredibly tender scene post Chapman Farm. So Strikes got Robin in the car, goes to the that small hotel, um, grounds her, centers her, doesn't debrief her at all, is just there for her. Just an incredibly tender moment.
Absolutely. That's his Anteros moment,
Yeah.
because he's alone with her in a bedroom. It
Yes.
just screams Eros moment, and
Yeah.
not a hint
No.
of Strike saying, "This is my chance."
Yeah.
Um, that's full on sacrificial love
Yes.
in terms of being, I should say, selfless love, not
Yeah.
sacrificial love for his friend. And that's the ace, Nick. You can't.
Yeah.
You're right. That's the top. The rest are. I'd put the Lethal White scene. Excuse me. When Robin takes the call from the angry. Um, he's not a member of Parliament. He's the husband of
Yeah.
a minister,
Yeah.
and she loses it on the road. Literally, just has like a nervous breakdown while driving, which which knowing Strike's history, again, we're talking about these characters like they're real people. Let's keep in mind that Rowling is crafting this story, right? Um, Strike's in the car with, we've been told repeatedly that Strike is terrified of driving with people that
Yeah.
don't know how to really drive well. He likes driving with Robin because she's perfectly stable. And now here's Robin having a nervous breakdown, pounding on the steering column. And they pull over, and Strike talks to her on the berm about everything that's happened to her, that, the collapse of her marriage. And then we have the big reveal.
Yeah.
And um, he's so brilliant there and at the race course with the champagne and everything, that again, he's happy because, this has happened before. She's broken up with him, but now he feels like, okay, this is done. This is adultery. That's a deal breaker. She's not going back to this guy. And so he begins his at that point still relatively passive pursuit of Robin. So I like that one. It's still anti-erotic, not erotic, but it's definitely his nurturing and taking care of her, talking her down from the craziness, getting her back in shape. I like that. Okay, Hallmark Man. I'm gonna start this one. What I have for this one, Nick, was the Sark dinner conversation. You had that one for her taking care of him. But for me, that's his taking care of her. So I'm gonna jump in there. Is that what you had as well? I mean, but what did you have for that?
I think it's post that. So it's post the dinner conversation. Strike suddenly realizes that rather than Robin being this target that he's trying to acquire, she starts to get the quality of somebody he needs to look after. So Robin, what he could have done with Robin post Sark is when we get to the denouement of the book and he's going off with the cowboys to Ironbridge to put some priest about. He could have had Robin just locked in the office or just not gone out, just stand by. But she went to the vault, so she helped wrap up the case. She had something to do, and then what Robin really wants is to get away from it, to just go to the sun, just have a break. And it's a little bit Sardinia, which of course Rowling knows quite well from her yachting around the Mediterranean. So again, it's a little bit weak. I think she needs more than that. She realizes even when she's in Sardinia that Robin needs more than that. But it's post that Sark conversation, he's starting to get it.
Well, he's done that before. Like at the end of Troubled Blood, when he goes off to meet with the granny poisoner.
Yeah.
He sends Robin to the apartment that has Margot Bamborough in concrete.
Yeah.
Well,
we know
that's not obviously the dangers in Ironbridge are much greater than the dangers of going to see the granny poisoner.
But it's that, and we know that if there are any graves that need digging up, it's going to be Barclay and Robin that do it. I mean, that's the deal.
Okay. On to the next one. Agency vocation conversation.
Yeah.
For me, the series one is when they go to McDonald's. They're on their way back from the publisher's house. They're about to have the snow scene. They've already had the scene where she does her miracle driving stuff and saves both their lives and goes to rescue. I think she does her Artemis thing on the road there. So we're on to the Strike Ellicott conversation about the agency and your vocation with inside the agency. And like the first question, I'm going to go with maybe the first time they actually talk about this in a in your face type of way. Robin's I think it's in Silkworm where they drive to the publisher's house in a snowstorm. Robin does her miraculous driving. She misses the truck and everything's sliding around, and she gets out and she does her Artemis saving people thing, goes to see if the child in the car is okay, and comes back. And Strike tells her he's never seen anything like that, and this warms her heart. Um, well, then they had kind of a bad moment at the publishers where Robin gets sent off to the kitchen, but she finds the necessary clues, the great things that needs to be for the case, and they're driving back, and they stop at McDonald's, and I think it's there that she has her breakdown, right, where she
Yes.
confronts him about her role and what he wants her to do, and he just lays it out.
Yeah.
You can't do this and be in a relationship where the guy that you're with doesn't want you to be doing this. And there's tears and straight language and embarrassing people around them looking at them and stuff, but it's a real moment where they both realize that they have this vocation and they're both dedicated to the agency. That's kind of a Kairos moment for me.
Yeah.
For the series.
Yeah, so Strike moves from talking about needing to hire an investigator to actually starting to commit to Robin's going to be an investigator. And then the career sort of progresses and she becomes a partner. And, Strike introduces Robin as my partner. But it's not until Ink Black Heart and it's that office door. So it's the door that Robin first comes to in Cuckoo's Calling, and it CB Strike. Wonder what the B stands for. Private investigator. That in the end of Ink Black Heart, that glass has been smashed by the terrorist bomb. New door's been fitted, and the glass now says Strike Ellicott Detective Agency. Now she's a partner. Now she's a proper partner.
It's weird you choose that moment because she doesn't notice it.
No.
He has to bring it up to her in the hospital.
Yeah. Some detective
which might qualify as in a way, this is definitely the Strike taking care of Ellicott taking care of Strike moment. Maybe that should have been our top choice for that, because he goes in there and gets all but murdered. And she saves the day. She's Dudley Do Right in that scene. She's saving him. And she visits him at the hospital. She's taking care of him. And then by the way, I've changed. Here's the new door. And she says, yeah, Ryan F. Murphy. Oh my goodness. Anyway, that's, I don't know if I'm push back on that one, Nick. I'm not, but Strike 8, I couldn't think of a single one. Did they ever talk about their relation? This is the novel where they don't talk to each other about anything.
No, they don't. So Strike talks to Wardle. So Wardle introduces the idea of the Murphy Ellicott Detective Agency.
Yeah, that's a grenade. That's a grenade. He rolls that as if Strike isn't already crazy enough. It's just like, hey, how about Mr. and Mrs. Murphy?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. All right, that's a good one. But again, it's not the two of them are talking about it. So that's a downer there. How about conversation about life and their relationship and them talking as friends.
Yeah. So
about what's going on.
So for me,
excuse me,
it's from Career of Evil. So we know that both Strike and Robin are damaged. For Strike, it's a very visible damage. He's an amputee. He's only got one leg. It gives him continuous trouble through the first three novels. He hasn't yet taken the decision to look after himself. But for Robin, it's not visible. And it's where she, in her drunken state, finally shares with Strike not just the troubles with her marriage, but that and I'm going to call it that defining rape. Now she says that it isn't me. It doesn't define who I am, but the damage that caused still impacts her life. So there is still that defining effect that Robin hasn't yet overcome. Um, Strike has wondered. She knew that she dropped out of her psychology degree, didn't know the reason. I'm sure he could have found out, but Strike being Strike, and he hasn't got to book 8. He's still playing with a straight bat at the moment. So he hasn't done that. But this is where Robin finally opens up to Strike as a friend. This is what happened to me. This is why I'm so upset with Matthew.
Huh. That's great. I mean, because again, you're the lake guy,
Yeah,
and this has an obvious shadow in Rowling's history with her first husband and her continuing, uh, uh, the echoes of that tragedy is that Rowling has as her, primal question, if you will, am I safe?
yeah,
Um, and apparently if anybody walks up behind her, they find out that no, she doesn't feel safe.
yeah,
um, and that and consequently, she's very concerned about women having men walk up behind them in places they don't expect them.
mm,
And this is a backdrop, and she's admitted that. She's talked about how that has influenced her stance on controversial issues. Now that's really good, Nick. But for me, I think everybody else is out there screaming, Nick. No, 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 no. The life conversation is in troubled blood.
yeah.
Where Strike inadvertently clocks Robin, knocks her out almost in the American bar when talking to, one of my favorite characters. And the Hermes figure in that book, Carl Oakton, that scene where they go back to the office and they have, do they eat curry? Is it a curry night?
Yes. I
But the thing is, it's mostly what they're washing it down with. They're both
Yeah,
drinking some really good. Is it scotch that they're drinking? I mean, they're
yeah.
really. It's not. They're not drinking tea up there. It's in the dark, and they're just laying bare. About children, about Charlotte. I mean, they are really at it. And
It's, it's
Robin.
it's not exactly anterotic though, because they're both conscious that
Whoa.
they're mere meters away from a double bed.
That's right. But it's the life conversation about their being best mates, and that's. I mean, yeah. There's a mating hint around that best
Yeah,
mates conversation, but it's the first time that you really see the two of them saying we have to talk more. We have to really express ourselves here, or we're both going to be talking right by each other. And I think that anybody in their right minds that knows them, any author would have had them both thinking about that scene throughout Hallmark Man, because that's exactly what they don't do in Hallmark Man. Now, of course, it would have ruined the whole book. The book wouldn't be what it is if Robin in the first scene said, "So, why did you mention Charlotte's will? Right before I went out there, her will, her suicide note." That because she doesn't have that frank conversation, and he can't,
yeah.
say the right thing. We get the whole tortured book, um, which I love, but it's a tortured book. How about the life conversation in, or the facts of life conversation in Hallmark Man?
So I'm gonna bookend because I said career of evil for Robin being open about her past. Now I'm gonna say that Sark conversation where Robin is open about her future. So she talks about her ambition, her love of the job, um, her conflicted ideas about children, because she doesn't think that she can do both the career and have children, but she clearly doesn't want not to be able to have children, to have that decision removed from her.
That's really fascinating the way you put that, because it's a parallel scene. I see what you're
Yeah,
saying, that here she's confiding a rape, and the rape was actually the cause of the ectopic
yeah,
pregnancy. So you've got um, one is historical, that the past bleeding into the present, and now it's bleeding into her future. Um, oh yeah, that's a good one. I don't have anything that good, Nick. For me, the only thing that comes close to observation and conversation is that what Justin Clavitt talked about in the neglected men conversation they have, where Strike says, "I'm glad you brought that up because it's not you can't talk about men being on the street. You can't talk about suicide rates among soldiers and this and that. You can't talk about the neglected men in the world because it's only women that can be victims." He doesn't go through all that, but they lay that out. Strike keeps saying, "I know that women have it tough. I know that women have it rough, but let's not forget, that men don't have it easy." And Rowling is someone. Forgive me for not having it right at hand here. I'll put it in the notes down below. In the comment threads at our previous post, put in the thread where Rowling confirmed everything Justin said about this book is about men.
Yeah.
We're we're trying to find these 5 guys, and they all got problems that are men problems today. That really is something that we'll have to do a whole show around, because it's one, because she shoved it down our throats, and 2, because Justin's already picked it up. All right, on to the next one. Top mystery reveal. What grand moment? Because these are all murder mysteries, and so we've got to have the moment where the killer is confronted. What's your favorite?
So we've talked about this, John, and I like to think of myself as Rowling's ideal reader, because in terms of narrative misdirection, Rowling says, "Look over there," and over there I duly look. Yeah. So I am very easily fooled. But in Running Grave, I fooled myself. So it's a thriller. It is such an exciting thriller. I forgot it was also a whodunit. So when the murderer was revealed as being Abigail rather than who the Waces, because of course it was the Waces, it came as a complete shock. I had to go back and start that chapter again because it threw me so much.
That's good. That's good. You're right. Because it really is her cult novel, as she calls it, right? And so you get this, embedded in the cult, and the reveal for me was really when Robin is in the temple in London and has her moment with bashing Mama Wazoo with a rifle butt. That to me is the way the reveal of Running Grave is. But and the broken fish pendant. That I love that. People who've read our stuff here know how important that is. But my favorite reveal is in Troubled Blood. That conversation that Strike has with the granny poisoner, Duessa.
Yeah.
That Duessa from Fairy Queen, but in the book it's what's her name? Help me out here, Nick.
Janice.
Janice. It's spelled obviously
Janice
with an ICE, but it's Janus, the two-faced. It's great. I mean, Janice to me is like the great murderer of the entire series, because as you talked about, you look over here and the nurse, and she's the obsequious friend to her rich buddy, and I just totally overlooked her.
Yeah,
totally. And so when Strike finally figures out the astrological chart and the clues and the fact that she almost killed him with her poisoned chocolates, which again, that chocolate thing is meaningful, right?
Yeah.
That was so good. That to me was just Janice is the top of my list. All right, how about Strike 8? There's, I mean, is there a mystery reveal besides the Iron Bridge?
So yes, yeah,
steel cage match. This is just
yeah,
that's
yeah, yes, there are, but I'm going to choose. It's not really a mystery reveal, but the reveal that stopped me dead in my tracks made me put down the book and ring up my friend in Oklahoma. I was that shocked, and it was chapter 3. It was the ectopic pregnancy due to rape related STD.
chlamydia.
Because it was exactly as John Granger predicted, to the point where I think I called John up, and I don't, was it some ridiculous hour, because I didn't check the clocks. I rang John up and I said, have you got a copyright lawyer, because I think you've got a case.
I wasn't reading like the first 8 chapters or something had been
Yeah.
revealed, and I hadn't really started it yet. And you said read through chapter 3. Anyway, that oh well. I'm going to go with the Iron Bridge basement. That's the mystery reveal where everything gets brought up, and Strike is convinced Strike suddenly becomes a lawyer in Scotland rather than a private detective in England, and worries about it. What a no decision case. Anyway, that's the reveal in Strike 8 that we all think of. I don't think it rates with the Troubled Blood or the Running Grave reveals, but so be it. How about the top agency subcontractor moment? I
Oh,
mean, we had all sorts of subcontractors come through here. Um,
yes.
I'm going to
Is it?
jump in right away and say that for me, this is disgusting, but it's the Christmas dick pic that Saul Morris sends Robin in
Yeah,
Masham. That to me was the subcontractor moment because of what Saul Morris's name means. His name means, the black sun, which Saul Naguère is the alchemical term for this, and it's in an Agretto novel. Anyway, it was that was a real moment of disgust because Rowling has written this up so that Robin is using Morris as a screen to protect her. She's got somebody she's talking to on the
that's right.
phone during this
That,
thing.
that
So saying
isn't Strike.
that's right, and instead it comes back and she gets to look at his.
So
You know,
in the TV adaptation, it's not in the book, but in the TV adaptation, when Pat learns that Saul Morris sent a picture of his penis to Robin, Pat comes back with "What a waste of a stamp," which I think is a lovely line. Um, so
that to me is I mean, people are going to say that's your top subcontractor moment. For me, that's the subcontractor from hell.
yeah,
And he'll
I,
play his part later. When Robin reveals the dick pic thing to Strike, that's a big Cupid and Psyche moment with the knife and everything. That's a great scene. Um,
I've got to agree with you. Saul Morris is such a deliciously awful character, that I've picked him as well, and I've picked him being ejected from the office. So it's
oh,
he grabs Robin from behind, like J.K. Rowling. Robin does not like being approached from behind, particularly not like being grabbed. If anyone tries that with J.K. Rowling, she's liable to turn around with a knife in her hand, which is exactly what happened to Saul Morris. Uh,
after Robin's first thing is not the knife.
what does she do
She
first?
she stomps on her foot with her
Oh,
heels.
that's right. She's had self-defense training. That would, yeah, which is a good instinct to have. There's an escalation. Saul is confronted by Strike, uh, uses his physical bulk to intimidate him. Justly is ejected immediately from from The Office, and that it's just a beautiful comeuppance for the awful soul. So
And it's also another subcontractor. I mean, Barkley is there, right? Barkley is one who breaks up the
yeah,
great scene in the office by turning the light on, which
yeah,
is the Cupid and Psyche thing with her lamp, and then Morris gets the knife, but Barkley is in the background there saying, read the room, whatever. That's
yeah,
that. So that's a double subcontractor moment. You get the
yeah.
good Barkley and you get the ugly Saul Morris. Okay,
But we
Hallmarked
got
Man.
yeah, we got new
Oh, sorry.
subcontractors, haven't we? We got new subcontractors for
Oh,
Hallmark Man.
yeah, yeah, and they're good. Having Wardle back. I mean, that was
Yeah,
that was really Strike take. That was the men's moment where Strike is taking care of Wardle. I mean, that was heartwarming. I felt good about that. Um, but all the subcontractor moments in Hallmark Man that I enjoyed the most, like the Saul Morris thing, where he's flirting with
yeah,
Robin, if you can call it flirting, and it's because of the ugly way he does it. In Troubled Blood, you get the reverse of this in Hallmark Man with Kim Cochran, who has another great name. You know, I'm sorry. Yeah, do I have to spell out? Do I have to parse the meaning of Kim Cochran? Um, anyway, I'll let folks at home break that one down. Um, but anyway, Kim Cochran is clearly on the make with Strike, and we
yeah.
don't know whether she's been put up to that by Murphy or if she has some other motivation, or whether she's just you know
And
horny lady. She's
just so awful to Robin as well.
oh yeah. I mean it's I mean, she is Saul Morris because Saul
Yeah,
Morris sucks up to Strike as well.
yeah,
But here's a woman doing it, with her skirt always, riding up over her knees and, dressing up without underwear for the date, where it's Kim Cochran is solid gold. She always delivered. What is it that Ron Weasley says about Luna Lovegood? Always great value.
yeah,
Um, just seeing Strike's discomfort. She's the erotic element. And both of them are struggling with the whole erotic side to their relationship. Do I love him? Do I not love him? What is that going to mean?
yeah.
How's it going to look? And here comes this woman who's like falling out of her shirt, or her skirt's hiked up, and she's not wearing underwear, and she's clearly on the make. She's just walking arrows. And everybody hates her. Strike hates her because it clearly makes Robin uncomfortable, and Robin just because it raises it. Up comes this erotic quality that she's deadly afraid of in terms of her office and the agency. Um, so yeah, every scene that has Kim Cochran in it, especially those in the office where Robin is there, and basically Cochran treats her like the woman bringing coffee in Cuckoo's Call, and just a nobody. So anyway, what's your favorite subcontractor moment in Hallmark Man?
Okay, so I'm torn between two because we talked about, we got these wonderful new subcontractors. Wardle, great value in the final scenes. I think we're going to see him again as the straight back, the conscience of the agency. But long-term oldest contractor, Barkley, we find his Achilles heel. We find his kryptonite, which is the humble prawn. And already Strike is using it for banter, you know? So he's worried about getting car sick on the trip up to Ironbridge. Strike says, you will be okay as long as they don't slip a pawn in your egg McMuffin. Well, with that attitude, you can forget about borrowing my knuckle dusters. I think we're going to see Barkley prawn teasing all through the rest of the books. And I for one, I'm really looking forward to them. So if we're going to talk about agency, we have to talk. If we're talking about subcontractors, we got to talk about all the other cases. So we get all these side cases now that we've got subcontractors because they're working on more than one thing each time. So, John, in the series? What's your favourite side case?
Well, um, gosh, there's so many of them, and they all have a coloration of this. But I want to go for a case that probably almost everyone has forgotten, and that is the strike agency's very first case, Mrs. Hook.
Of
Um,
course.
that Robin is it's Robin's first day, and Mrs. Hook
Yeah.
comes in and Strike's moving stuff up on the stairs or something. I mean, I don't know if it's her first day. It's not her first day because Strike's bringing the stuff up on the stairs. Um, but Mrs. Hook comes in and she gets the bad news that yes, indeed, her husband has been fooling around, but not with someone at his office. It's with Mrs. Hook's sister.
Ugh.
And the reason this is my favorite case isn't just because it's the first one and we get to see Robin and Strike trying to deal with this woman. And I guess she leaves and they have sandwiches together. It's really their first breaking of bread and such. It's that I think there's going to be something about a sister. It's my sister. That I don't know if that's going to be, Ted and his sister Lita, or what the sister relationship is going to be. That, is it going to be Lucy? There's going to be something about either the death of Lita Strike or Charlotte and her sister. Does her sister kill her? I think Mrs. Hook Rowling's putting down a marker for the conclusion of the book at the beginning. In terms of the very first case is going to be the shocking finish to the series.
Wow.
I put that marker down. Okay. So what's your top agency case that's not the focus of the novel?
Okay. I maybe a surprising one. This one's from Trouble Blood, and there's quite a few in Trouble Blood, but I'm going to choose Postcard, which is a bit of a nothing burger. It doesn't really add.
Really? Oh, no. This is no Postcard. I wish I'd thought of that. That's a great one. Man.
So I'm choosing Postcard because it's just the client is just so deliciously drawn in that what Rowling leaves out of the description that we can infer. So it's a TV weatherman. Yeah, it's the guy on the TV, points at the chart, tells you where the rain is coming. And he's being sent postcards by a superfan to his home address, which we can infer is unsettling his wife, because Postcard himself seems quite pleased with the attention. And he has in his mind this rather attractive lady that is taken with his startling good looks and his smooth delivery of cold fronts appearing down the western side of the United Kingdom. And of course, Robin solves the case by identifying that many of the postcards are coming from the National Portrait Gallery, and identifies an assistant, rather dowdy assistant.
Wow. Where would Rowling have become familiar with the National Portrait Gallery?
Well, there is a portrait in the National Portrait Gallery of J.K. Rowling.
Wow. Wow. Is that where her favorite portrait is too?
I think it could be.
Wow. Anyway, well, I'll put that in the links down below, Nick. Thank you. I got one more thing to put in the links down below. All right. Rowling spent a great deal of time in art galleries in London while she was a student at the University of Exeter, according to her own testimony. And then when she first lived in London, and the paintings that she saw there were, I think they were formative in her entire idea of what art is, to include the art of her writing.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, that's in the post down below. All right. How about the top agency case, not the focus of the novel, in Hallmarked Man?
Okay. So it's a troubling one for me, but it's another one in the theme of the book, that Strike is not being Strike. He's acting out of character. So long time agency client 2 times. Can we call him 2 times? Because now he's 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. He's many times is being double crossed.
Exponent man. This
Yeah.
is great.
So it's the double cross of 2 times. It's clearly immoral. It's almost certainly illegal, fraudulent, and Strike accepts it. Wardle would not accept this. So more power to Wardle as a subcontractor. John,
To me that just you that's your point is made that
yeah,
that Strike is not. I mean, he just doesn't want to deal with it.
no,
Sounds good to me. I'll let your husband pay for us investigating him. That's great. Just get out of my office. I got other things to deal with here, dear. It just sells 2 times right down the river.
yeah,
Oh well. Maybe that's part of the man novel thing that 2 times gets its comeuppance. My top agency case, not the focus of the novel, is the dog fights. And it's because I'm struggling with what that means. Ed Shardlow and several others in the comment threads have been talking about the lions in the book. And these lions that are in these dogfights, Nick, resemble lions more than they resemble a domestic dog. Right? I mean, these are fierce, bred killers. And I think that they play into each other. I haven't quite figured it out, but that to me is the most interesting backdrop inside Hallmark Man. As you said, there's so many of these. Like Postcard, there's actually artwork symbolism involved with that. I mean, these are really involved stories. The whole mise en abîme thing is alive in the background cases, where Rowling is coloring how you're experiencing the larger mystery with these side cases. They're not just things to keep them busy all day. They're things for you to be thinking about what she wants you to take away from this book. And the dog fights, that's a peculiarly masculine sport.
Yeah.
Am I wrong there? I mean, you
No,
still, I mean,
yeah, no,
the women don't get
perfectly
together
right.
to watch dogs rip themselves to shreds.
Yeah.
It's almost that it's oh well. And that to me is the best part of Hallmark Man's side scenes of the dog fights. All right, how about top Strike confront the killer moment?
Oh, okay, easy one for me. So I'm going to go for Silkworm. So Silkworm, the killer in Silkworm, all of us really should have identified the killer relatively early. So there were clear clues as to who that was. Relatively few people that I've spoken to did, to include myself. So it was a surprise for me. But it was the manner of the reveal was pure Agatha Christie. So this was a drawing room reveal, essentially, where we have the detective has all the suspects put into one room, goes to one side and calls suspects to him before the final reveal is made. Of course, Elizabeth Tassel. But it was I think it was Rowling, having spent the book writing about writing and writing about writers, felt the need to have that classical denouement in the Silkworm.
Is it Fan Caro? What's the name of the
Fancourt.
Fan Court? I've made him Uncle Ted there. That's great.
Yeah.
Fan Caro. All right. I think too the brilliance of that reveal, Nick, is that she has the writer who has said that basically women can't be writers, and he brings out the women writer that's pulled the wool over everybody's eyes this entire thing. And the brilliant writer that Fancourt has said, Michael Fancourt has said, doesn't really exist, is right there, out there, watching them smoke.
Yeah.
And Strike gets to reveal that his friend, his oldest friend, is this person who has duped them and murdered his once friend.
Wo
Okay, that's good.
woefully,
That's
woefully
really good.
derivative.
That's really good, Nick. I I wish I had thought of that one too. That's really good. I want to go though with that's not only the confront the killer moment. That's also solve the mystery moment.
Yeah,
You get the whole thing about the you know um, Strike's Cornish buddy diving for the typewriter and stuff.
jumped.
That was beautiful.
Yeah,
Um, That I'm going to go though with the confront the killer moment that is not the big reveal of the book, and that's his confrontation at the mental hospital prison where he meets Dennis Creed.
of course.
Because that confrontation is Strike at his best. That he's dealing with a psychopath. The that has what do they call it? The Holy Trinity of mental illness, what's that's the phrase for psychopathic narcissists. Anyway, he's meeting Creed, who in his murderous genius has concealed all these things through the years. And I think Strike at this point knows who the actual murderer is in the books, and that it's not Creed, but he wants the information out of Creed about where the bodies of the people he did kill are kept. And just by fainting,
Yeah,
and it's clearly a chess game that they're playing here. He mates him. By getting up to leave the board, Creed dares him and gives him these clues, and they solve the case
yeah,
of the missing girl, who clearly is among the panoply of ghosts that are in that book. I mean, that book is clearly the most haunted book in the series. You have all the women that were murdered by Creed. You have Margot Bamborough. I mean, it is a crowded field of ghosts in that book. But the happy scene where the father finally gets his daughter's remains and can be in peace. That was great. That was that confront the killer moment to me is Rowling's best revelation of Strike the good guy and Creed the bad guy in a chess match, and Strike just being able to outsmart him. I
yeah.
love that. Hallmark Man, there's only one confront the killer moment. Am I
There is,
wrong?
but no, well, there is. But if you're going to pick a side killer in Creed, I can also pick a side killer in Hallmark Man, leaving the goal open for you if you wish to take it. So Lord
No,
Oliver,
no. I'm going to go with the straight on Ian Griffiths.
okay,
He's got him in Iron Bridge. He's got him in his house. He's found Sapphire. This is that's a great moment because Griffiths is watching his cohorts spill the beans and being manipulated by Strike to give him the information he needs. That's the big confront the killer moment for me. What are you talking about?
okay. So given Griffith is off the table, I have to go with the side killer, and I'm going to go with the most despicable character in the book, Lord Oliver Branford. Now
Bojo.
you could argue you could argue that he's not a killer. I'm going to argue he thought he was. So he thought
Uh,
he had organized this murder. And I'm sure under investigation that there are other bodies to be buried elsewhere in Branford's life. But that scene with Kim generously
Conquering.
Strike had Robin there to enjoy it as well, but it was just delicious
Okay.
watching this buffoon slowly get punctured and deflate. Brilliant. Okay, so what?
You win. That was much better than the Ian Griffiths reveal. Especially knowing it
Okay,
was Boris Johnson. I mean, on the reread, when you told me it was Boris Johnson, I was like, oh, this is much more enjoyable now. This is great.
okay.
Uh,
Okay, so confronting killers generally is a happy, uplifting thing because they're killers and we want them confronted. So, what about the most heart-rending moment? What gets the emotion going from you in the series?
In the series, books 1 to 7, you mentioned um, the hospital scene where Jack um,
So good.
is appendix exploded or something,
Yeah,
and Robin comes. That's a really heart opening scene, if you will. I'm going to go with another hospital scene though, where Strike is in the hospital in Ink Black Heart, and Robin comes in and um, she's really got the Artemis role thing going on there.
yeah,
She's she's just like, you silly goop. I told you to stay out of the house, and you came into the house, and you got a knife in the back. So that um, hospital scene where he's trying to communicate to her that he loves her. He finally realizes what he wants. He's going to show her the door and everything,
yeah,
and she instead says she's got to leave because she's got a date with Ryan F. Murphy. Um, that was
yeah,
heartrending to me because it was the first time that you realize that, you felt what Strike was feeling. I think all of us are like, okay, they're going to wind up together in some way, or um, but at that moment, you felt Strike's despair that no, he was not going to walk out with the girl. He's a what does he call himself in the first book when he's climbing the stairs with his box? You overweight dinosaur. You fat. He's talking about himself,
yeah,
but he doesn't really feel it until that scene, and he realizes that he's not the attractive person in this contest he has going to have with Ryan Murphy. And so he repents, he repents all of his life choices, his lifestyle choices, and commits to, becoming a different person. That to me was a heartrending scene.
yeah. So for me, it's Troubled Blood, and it's the death of Aunt Joan. So we get that
Oh,
slow decline. We get the struggle through the floods for Strike and his sister to be there in her final moments. It's the Joan saying how proud she is. It's Strike saying when Joan said a fortune teller said I'd never had kids, and Strike saying, "Well, they got that wrong." Ah, gets me now. It gets me every single time. And for that,
and then yeah, and he says, Uncle Ted's my dad.
yeah, Uncle Ted's
That
my dad. And so of course for Hallmark Man, although it's off page, it's in between books 7 and 8. I've got to say the death of Ted. So again, we get the slow decline, we get the diagnosis of dementia. It's at the point they're about to move him to London. He dies. We have Strike and his sister packing up the belongings, choosing their souvenirs, arranging the sale of the house. It's it can't compare to Aunt Joan because we're not there.
no.
But in Hallmark Man, that's my heartrending moment. What's it for you, John?
Well, first of all, I'm gonna push back on your heartrending moment
Okay.
because all the things you described there that happened with Uncle Ted happened in like 6 paragraphs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it can't be heartrending if the pages had stuck together, you would have missed the whole thing. Yeah, that's just there's not enough build. It's just a sudden, oh, Ted is gone, and it's a shock. But to me, it wasn't heartrending. To me, it was, oh, we're going to learn more about that in the next book. That basically she shuffled Uncle Ted off the stage, and we're going to find out. There's photographs and stuff in this box that he hasn't looked at, and there's other things that, yeah, Uncle Ted's whole story hasn't been unpacked yet. We've got, Lita Strike and Charlotte Campbell and their supposed suicides to unpack. And I think someone on the threads, it's going to be for our future show. We have to go back through all the threads and find this. But one of the more interesting thoughts on the threads was that we're going to find out that Lita did commit suicide because we're all being pushed not to think she committed suicide, but she was forced into it, and that Charlotte did not commit suicide because we've all been, except for you, Nick, all of us were convinced that she did commit suicide, and now we're going to find out that she was murdered. So I'm not that Uncle Ted scene. I think is more of a marker. It was so quick that we're on to the next thing. And in fact, we'll get to that question. But to me, the big heartrending moment, of course, is Strike coming down the staircase. Marry me. He's not even asking her a question. Now he's just totally fumbled the ball and said, I love you, I love you, I love you, and marry me. That it was overdue. It could have been done at the end of the last book, and this and that. All those people, everybody has said those things are true. I disagree, but I can't disavow that those things are natural responses. That though is just a heartrending moment because Robin can't accept his proposal.
No, she can't. She can't. Even if even as we hope, she wants to. She can't. Not then. Not there.
No. And I think we're going to have another novel where it's we're going to have this crone, this Jungian crone come in. There's going to be real boundaries drawn first before this happens. And there's psyche and Cupid stuff that we're going to talk about in terms of feedback on moderator channels that I just got yesterday, whose name I can't mention right now. That really put a whole new spin on where we're going, where we've been in Hallmark Man, and where we're going in the next book. But yeah, the staircase proposal is a big deal. All right, one of the things that was in that Roanoke thing was a question: the top moment that we didn't know they were a moment until later. And the example they gave there was Ariana. I don't even understand that question for Harry Potter, but is there a moment that wasn't we didn't know until later? I mean, I was thinking about that. You just mentioned Uncle Ted. That to me is a moment that we didn't know was a moment until later. I'm thinking Uncle Ted is that moment for Hallmark Man. For me, is that that's going to play out.
But we don't. Most of us, mere mortals, never know that moment until later. So we can say, oh, this might be a moment, or that might be a moment. But until we get that later, that was a moment, we don't know. So that moment for me was chapter 3 in the Hallmark Man, which meant the moment was Robin in Dr. Zoo's office in Running Grave, when he just casually said, Robin, would you just put that diadem over there? We might need that later. And the locket, don't worry about the locket, but tell me, have you ever had any sexually transmitted diseases? That was the moment.
Now, you brought this up twice, Nick. I'm blushing here. This is great.
It's just that good, John. It's just that good.
Yeah. And again, it looks like it was just a lucky guess, but it was based on the mythology. It was based on Artemis having to be, I couldn't figure out how Robin would be sterile. And the only clue we got towards sterility was the chlamydia. I looked it up and there it was. So, oh well, you're very kind. You don't mention all the things that I thought were moments that didn't turn out to be moments either. But thank you. The series,
I mean,
yeah. This is the one where I see one that we're going to see Uncle Ted in the next book, and you saw one with the Charlotte suicide thing that all of us missed, and that Charlotte doesn't disappear in this book. Charlotte is, she's the ghost haunting this book. I mean, it even says, the ghost appeared. She goes to Charlotte, came into the room. That, we're basically waiting. I think for the top moments in the series are going to be in the next two books, and that the last two books have been leading up to books 9 and 10. I mean, Rowling, she was really coy about how many books there were in the series and what relationship they have. I mean, she lied about it, but that doesn't mean that she hasn't got this thing totally laid out and locked down. We know the first 7 books were a perfect ring.
Yeah.
Just like, I mean, really on the model of the Hogwarts saga. Now we're in Terra Incognita. I think Ed Charlotte is right that
she has said 9 and 10 now are fully plotted. So that the plot is there. She knows where she's going.
Seriously, Nick, do you think she finished Cuckoo's Calling without having all these books fully plotted? Come on. They're just too intricately interwoven. That's like someone working on a tapestry that's 8 foot by 10 foot, and they're starting out and they say, well, I sort of have a plan.
Yeah. So the end is a bit squashed up maybe, but it'll be fine.
All right. Let's go on to the saving people moment.
Okay.
Books 1 to 7. What do you got?
Okay. So I'm gonna have a Robin saving people. I'm gonna go for Career of Evil, and it's gonna be Robin going completely off piste and saving the Brockbank people, the Brockbank children. So Strike tells her not to do it. She subverts Shankar, who she does not know at all, really, but trusts he can be the muscle that she needs. Goes to the house, tries to convince the mother, fails. Brockbank arrives. The children, the eldest child, admits what's been happening. Shankar ejects Brockbank. Brockbank runs away, but
you're being very kind. Shankar gets run over by a rugby player.
Yeah, but Robin saves the children if jeopardizes the investigation and wrecks her career. But she did what she has to do.
Artemis.
Yeah,
she's the greatest. I'm gonna talk steady people. I'm with you here too. It's Robin, but this time an Ink Black Heart. 2 Artemis moments, just insane Artemis moments, in my opinion.
Yeah.
First on the train platform where a guy gets pushed into the train. Robin decides, I got this. I got a 180-pound man that I'm going to throw up back on the platform.
Yeah, I'm 100 pounds soaking wet, but no problem.
But that's the Anteros love for others moment that there. And, now that we're talking about that, there's that moment, and then of course she goes into the house.
Yeah.
Strike is incapacitated really, and she runs into the house to save Flavia. And that was a great moment. But talking about Robin in the train and the love for other, the illusion of self and other, where she just realizes this person dies unless I save them.
Yeah,
I'm the only person that has this moment, and she literally becomes the other person in her identity, and throws herself selflessly on the track to save this.
Yeah.
Strike has a heart attack because, of course, he loves Robin already. He's already allied with her, so now he's become one with the guy on the train tracks, and he has to pull them both up. And they do their thing. And he's astonished at that experience of selflessness. That's a great moment.
Yeah.
But we have a Strike moment that way too, which because it's in Troubled Blood, my favorite book, I have to say that Strike saving Charlotte via the phone while she's dying of a drug overdose, and then later says to her, I would have done it for anybody. It isn't because I want to get back together with you. There's nothing erotic about this. This is anti-erotic. It's his experience as the Red Cross Knight. he is the Red Cross Knight still. That to me is so we have a Strike and a Robin moment there, and really it is amazing how many Robin saving people moments there are, right? She's
Oh
not
yeah.
supposed to be the heavy. It's not supposed to be the heavy, but
No.
Wace in Running Grave gets it right. You're that person, aren't you? Because that's what she's doing in all of Running Grave. She is putting herself, at risk of her life every waking moment inside Chapman Farm. I mean, she's saving everybody in that movement, everybody in that cult. She's saving them. Amazing thing. All the children that are being trafficked. I mean, that's Robin at her peak. But of course, it comes at a price. Okay, Strike 8, saving people moment. What do you
Okay,
got?
so I'm gonna go for Plug Sun. Plug is
Oh,
the
his
sideways
son. His son.
son of Plug. So Plug, of course, is beyond saving. He's a proper wrong'un. He needs locking up. The dogs need saving, and so of course does Plug Son. So it's when the dogfight is broken up, he's badly injured. They think he's going to be scarred for life, but at least he now has an opportunity of a normal life as long as his father remains locked up.
That's good. That's good. I'm going to go with Sapphire though.
Yeah,
She's the Hallmarked woman. She's
yeah,
the jewel in the basement. She's the contrary. That
yes,
when Rolling repeatedly has Strike say that it was necessary that William Wright die in the vault. And of course, it's by no means necessary that
no,
he dies in the vault. I
no.
mean, could have shot him anywhere, He does all these other
Could
murders. He doesn't have to be in a silver vault to do it. He doesn't have to do this
could have
crazy
could have
Masonic.
slipped a peanut in his sandwich.
That's there you go. It could have done the casual vacancy murder, and
Yeah,
instead we get this incredible. Well, the reason that it's necessary, and I think Rowling is playing a game here with people that really love her work. The reason it's necessary is that it's a parallel with the finish. The person imprisoned in the basement, the jewel in the basement. Here is the man is a jewel because out of sacrificial love he was trying to save Yolanda, and he's a jewel of a man. Man who really just threw his life away, his reputation and everything, and was slaughtered for it.
yeah,
Was absolutely robbed of all of his identity and was crucified. A cross was carved into his back, and that selflessness. We have a mirror image of that with a woman who's being, it was trafficked and used and abused. Um, and her coming up to testify about what's happened. And Strike is the person, instead of murdering her, has rescued her. It's the reverse echo effect that we see in Rowling's best turtleback lines. So that to me was the wow saving people moment. Was, oh, that's why the murder was necessary in the
yeah.
silver vault. We have to go down into this basement and find this person and turn it upside down. So yeah, that's my favorite saving people moment.
This was a lot of fun, John.
Yeah, and we haven't even got all the way through our
No,
list. I mean, there's a lot more here. Um, I, I I hope people are seeing the point of this is um, the and we're going to conclude. We're going to go through six, seven, eight more of these things
yeah,
back and forth, and that's that Hallmark Man is qualitatively different than any of the previous 7 books. Um, I mean, we already have one that doesn't quite fit the pattern here, where it actually is the thing that we don't know is a moment. we see there's probably a bunch of those inside Hallmark Man,
Yeah.
but that's one that doesn't really talk about the book itself. That's the book going forward. That every book in the series has a greatest hits quality to it, at least one or two from it.
Yeah.
And we don't, I'm not getting that from Hallmark Man. It's like Hallmark Man isn't memorable in itself. That we're
I,
not going to hang on it the way we do it with the other books.
I,
Um,
I think it's because of we see the bridge in actuality and in metaphor so frequently in this book. I think this what 1 to 7 is a complete series. And I think this is the bridge to 9 and 10. And I don't think we're going to understand 8 until we see 9 and 10.
and it's not as if Rowling has been especially subtle in that respect. We have quite a few bridges inside this novel.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to close this one off.
Yeah.
I'll get to work putting in all the links that I have to put in down below so people can follow up on this. And we'll meet again sooner than later, I hope, and we'll come up with part 2 of this series.
Let us know what you think in the comments.
Mini Conrecki, yeah. Seriously, folks, if you have any doubt that it's thrilling to your on stage conversationalists, it's such a charge to have us, oh my goodness, moment like, yeah, that's brilliant, and you always are so, all the people out there are so kind, they say, oh, I'm really loving this, and thank you for this and that, and they never puff themselves up like, why didn't you see this? Because that's what I'm saying. Every time I read their stuff, I'm like, wow, that is so good, Why didn't I get that? All right, so we'll meet again soon, and we'll be talking more stuff. Keep up those great comments, and thank you to all the paid subscribers. I'm sending you out stuff about the ring composition project. It's happening, at least one of those a week. It's happening. It's happening. And next time we'll talk about actual online courses that Nick and I are putting together.
Yeah.
And, how you can access those. Until then.
Thank you, John. Take care, everyone.